without the knowledge of His Word, we don't get to experience Him as much as we do by just fellowshipping with others, which is what we definitely need. But without knowledge of His Word, I think maybe forgiveness is harder, maybe acceptance is harder. So without God's Word to guide us, we don't have the understanding that we need of Him and our salvation. I want to grow in passion for God and His church.
To me, fellowship is, well, we're growing in the church too. And we're with people that have and share the faith as we do. And as I said before, when you're around others that don't have the faith, they bring you down. But then, how can you bring them up? How can you introduce them to Christ? So we're in with Paul Flaherty's group, and boy, I'll tell you what, there's very open discussion there. So, and we enjoy Paul and everything. And you know, we just couldn't ask for a better leader in fellowship than Paul. You have to make time to connect with people. You know, Wednesdays and stuff, there's times where, yeah, sure, I would like to stay home, but I know if I do that, who's going to be here for the little ones? Who's going to be at the registration table? Who's going to be here for my granddaughters? So I say, God places us where He needs us. I want to grow in passion for God and His church.
It gives us a close connection to God. It's our counseling session with God. We get one-on-one time, and God listens to us, and we get to not only praise and worship Him, but we get to seek the forgiveness that we need, and we get to seek His advice and counsel. And it's pretty cool to see God at work. Sometimes it's frustrating as all get out, waiting to see what He's doing. But knowing that your prayer life is in line with God's will for your life through reading the Word and just waiting on that, and then when you see it finally come to fruition, you see Him at work, and it's pretty amazing. I want to grow in passion for God and His church.
For us to be a complete church. If we don't have unity, we can't do what God has called us all here to do. God has called everybody at this church to this church for a reason. Because if we're in unity, each one of us is going to hear God's voice. Each one of us is going to be able to go to somebody else and say, you know, God has asked us to do such and such, or God has asked me to do such and such. Will you pray for me? Will you support me? Will you help me in any way, you know, that God asks you to do? Or will you go with me if He's asking us to go somewhere else? It takes everybody working together to even go out and talk to your neighbor. Somebody needs to be praying as you go. I want to grow in passion for God and His church.
Giving is essential because God tells us to. He calls us to give our time, and it should be given freely, joyfully, and to help other people is our times, our attendance, and our willingness to serve Him. God calls us to give money and says that by tithing, and when I got out of the military and I went to X-ray school, I was starting to make more money than I ever had in the military, way more money, and then I could tithe that much more. I would like to grow in passion for God and His church.
Worship to me is important because it's basically a commandment. I mean, God, requires it. It's preparing us. We're here on earth to prepare for eternity. And that's what we're going to do for eternity, is give praise and worship to God. Worship is, I mean, you can just feel the Spirit, you know. I can feel the Spirit in me, and I think it's hugely important. And if you don't do it, you know, I miss it. I really do. And it's just, you know, it's an awesome experience to me. And again, it's preparing us for the next step. I want to grow in passion for God and His church.
Passion. Passion.